Hey guys, I'm delighted to be with you today. What's up, all my goody goods out there? I am so happy that you're back. It is 2021. It's a brand new year. We can shake off all of that 2020 if you haven't already, and just focus on all the good things that are going to come for you in your notary business and in your signing business. I am so happy to be with you today. I have some really great things to share. I've been busy. December was super busy, which is awesome. Pretty much from the beginning through the end. It was end of year, end of month. It was a great time to be a notary and to be working in this business. So that was great. I got a lot of new things for the business, some things I'm going to try. I got a fresh notary journal to start 2021 off the right way. I got a couple of other things that I'll be sharing with you here soon, but today we are going to focus on the Notary ID book from the NNA. So if you can see that, I got the 2021 ID book. So that's what we're going to go through. So kick the intro. So, one of the things that I bought was the Notary ID book. So let's talk a little bit about why you need this. So you're a notary, and part of your job, one of your main duties, is to, besides ensuring that people are before you of their own free will and aren't being coerced or forced into doing anything that they don't want to do and are of sound mind and body, one of the things that you do is ensure they are who they say they are, who they are representing themselves to be before you. And the main way to do that is by looking at their ID that they present, right? So this doesn't matter if you're a signing agent. It doesn't matter if you're an NSA or an LSA, a notary signing agent, or a loan signing agent, whatever you may call yourself, or doing general notary work. You are going to have to validate someone's ID. So one of the things that occurs is you become very familiar with ID, right? So you may see your state's ID. You may be very familiar with how to tell if that ID is fake. So in Virginia, we've got several hints that will tell you if an ID could possibly be fraudulent, or maybe it's an older version. But you become familiar with those because that not only do you have your own version of that ID, you also see it the most often. However, when you are in a state like Virginia and you have lots of passers through, people coming from other countries, coming from the neighboring states, people coming because this is one of the places to come on the East Coast. You will also see people from around the world and around the country. So you will see people with different IDs. And honestly, that goes for anywhere else too. I like to talk to my Virginia notaries because, gotta represent. But this is for every notary. Every notary at some point in your life, you are going to see someone with a different ID other than what is common to you. So how do you tell if that ID is valid? And that's really the question that this book answers is, you put this in your little repertoire of tools and you fall back on this when you need to. So what this is the ID book. And it is the NNA Field Book of North American IDs. And what's in here is a list of every single ID from all 50 states and more, including things like Quebec, Alberta, Guam, I think is in here, Puerto Rico, the Northwest Territories, etc. Virgin Islands, they're all in here. Prince Edward Island, all of them are in here. Nova Scotia. You have lots of different types of IDs available. So I'm going to first show you where to find it, and then I'm going to go through what's actually in the book, okay? So let's switch things up a little bit. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So where do you find it? So you find this on the NNA's website. And you come on to nationalnotary.org, up here at the top, nationalnotary.org. And then you go to supplies. So you're going to click on this little doohickey here called supplies. This is actually called a menu, not a doohickey. But it's late and I don't really feel like being technical, so I'm just going to call it a doohickey because everything's a doohickey at some point. There are, inside of books, there is a subheading called Guides for Checking IDs. And this is the reason why I'm doing this video. So you have the ID book, and the description of it says that it's an essential guide for checking U.S. and Canadian identification documents. All the information you need for each ID is on one page in this easy to use spiral bound lay flat format. The information in the guide is valid through February 1st, 2022. Okay, great. It's a cost of $24 per book. And then you can click on additional details. And then you see the expanded version of the listing. And this is the one thing that drives me nuts about listings on the NNA site is like when you click on this. So for me, I like to see things before I buy them. When you click on this one, it doesn't really tell you anything else. So like you click on view larger, that literally just shows you the cover a little bit larger than it was. There's no further information here. Not really. That tells you what's in here. So it's an indispensable tool that can be used everywhere a positive identification is required. It includes corresponding essential security features for quick verification in a spiral bound lay flat format. All the information on the ID you need to check is provided on one page. That's great, but I still don't know what I'm getting for my money at this point. So this is a note for Pennsylvania folks. Any Pennsylvania notary who's listening, the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation has not permitted the use of document images after 2007. The ID book only contains a description of each document used in Pennsylvania and does not include an image of the document. Okay, so from that I can tell that there are some images that will be included as well, but I'm still not understanding what's in this book. So at this point, I was just like, you know what? It's $24. I'm just going to buy it. It is the size of it, just so you can see, is listed out here. It's a soft cover. It's a little plasticky cover, kind of like I would say it's almost like a 5-star notebook, the little plastic they put on the front of that. But the size of it is less than a sheet of paper. So if you look at the dimensions, a sheet of paper, a regular sheet of paper is 8.5 by 11. This is 6.25 by 8 5/8. Shipping and taxes, doesn't say anything about taxes actually, but ground shipping is $5. So that's going to be about 5 to 8 days. 2-day air is $12.95. Next day air is $21.95. These are standard NNA shipping rates. And you would think that we'd get something like a break on those, but we don't. So that's all the site tells us. Like there's nothing else here to click in, like nothing else. So that is why I'm doing this video for you. I will not be showing you the goods. Like we're not going to go through this book, and I won't be revealing the things that we hold near and dear to our hearts, which is confidentiality and identity verification. I will show you what some of the aspects of the book are and why you should buy it. Okay, so first up, like I said, it's this very small little book. It is lay flat. So what they've said is it's lay flat, which means that you can do this with it. You can put this wherever you would like. Like, so if you're doing a signing, you could almost drag an ID and just kind of hold it in your hand like this and compare the things that you're looking for against that actual ID. You could do that. You know, I don't know if you want to be doing that. You know, I don't know that you want people to know that you have this book. Because like I said, you do have to be a notary to get the book. You can't just be a regular person and order the book from the NNA. You have to be logged in. I believe you actually have to have your commission in order to actually make the supply purchase as well. So right in the front cover, there are 2 things that they have for us and 2 things that I am going to go over with you. So they go over practical tips for conducting an ID check. And sorry, it's a glossy page, so my lights it's hitting on all my lights. But if you can see that, there's also the second. So the first page is practical tips for conducting an ID check. This page here, and this page has pretty much all the things that a normal notary would know and they would do. So a notary would do things like confirm the age. So you're gonna check that the ID matches what's before you in front of that person. So if their ID says that they were born in 1957 and you got a teeny bopper standing in front of you, that's probably not James Earl Jones Sr. and might be James Earl Jones Jr., you know. So you might have that going on. The other thing that it has here is the second page that we, for our purposes, are going to be renaming. So this is called Tips for Profiling. Almost 40 years of my life and the year 2020 have also taught us that profiling is no longer a good thing, and nor has it ever been a good thing. So we're not going to call this profiling. We're going to call this signer identification. So it has signer identification listed out, and there are 6 bullet points that it goes through that just talk about the things that you need to do to care for signer identification. Okay. And then this is really, really great. Like, I've never seen this anywhere. I've never seen anybody talk about this, right? Like, so I'm going to read it to you. For anyone who would like to improve his or her ID checking knowledge and skills, Keysing Technologies has developed practical ID workshops and e-learning courses. For more information on these workshops or on the e-course, please contact Keysing Technologies at customer service, and they give their email address. I have not seen that advertised anywhere else for us. Like, that would be a really cool training class to go through. I know NNA has something about ID, so maybe they are in partnership with them. Clearly they are, because they're the ones who produced the book. So that's kind of cool. And then on each page, it has the table of contents for all 50 states and like all the additional things that it shows. So it shows like different types of IDs. So all the states' IDs, all the territories' IDs, all of Canada, all of Mexico, and then it also shows U.S. government or U.S. issued IDs. So different types of U.S. Issued IDs. So things like your passport card, your actual passport, your travel documents, resident cards, employment cards, like those kind of things. Like, so you're going to get these in the course of just doing business. So it's really, really good to have this to kind of lean on. And what should actually be on a passport when you're seeing a passport instead of an ID? When is it okay to take a passport instead of an ID? Like, your state law will kind of tell you that. But when you get into seeing that passport in front of you, how do you confirm legitimacy? Because passports can look different from wherever they're issued. So then it goes into, in the front, it goes into the user's guide. So this little guide right here basically takes each ID, these are fake IDs, but it takes the ID and it lists out all the different components of the ID itself. So it's going to show you like a description or an image of the front and the back. It gives you the special numbering, highlighting different things that make it valid, the different ways to note validity. It tells you whether or not it has a real ID, and then gives you information about the different security features, which I'm not going into online. So all of that is located here. And then there's extra extra, so that's every single page through here. So like you can see, like all of these are all IDs. On each page, I can tell you. Oh, I keep opening up to that. I'm gonna do something. It completely never actually happened, so none of that. So you'll see that like there's the different pages that are there, and then it has 4 images of the different types of IDs, and then for this one, they've got an identification card from 2008. They have an identification card from 2001 because they are significantly different. They also have a driver's license from 2008 and a driver's license from 2005 because it looks like, doesn't look like, those are very significantly changed, and so apparently it hasn't changed since 2008. So you know that if you get a ID card from 2007 that looks like the one in 2008, like it can't possibly be real because they didn't start that until 2008. So this is good information. This is stuff like you're not just going to have sitting on the top of your head, but may be very useful during a signing. So, and then at the end, what I really, really like is, and that I'm going to share and pass on to you, is then it has a whole list of real ID statuses for U.S. States and territories. And what that is, let me just read it to you. So listen up, notaries. Starting October 1st, 2021, we're in 2021 now, travelers must present a valid real ID, driver's license, or ID card, or a TSA-approved alternative document to board any commercial flight in the United States. On this page, you can find information about real IDs per state. So then it goes on and lists out each state, the date that the real ID started being issued. Like some of these go back to 2010, which I didn't even know because here in Virginia, we just started doing real IDs like in 2010, or I'm sorry, 2018. In Colorado, we started doing them in, I believe, 2013. But, yeah, it wasn't widely rolled out, like, before I left. So, this is interesting. So, like, it goes through every single state, shows the date that it was issued, the symbol for the real ID, and then it tells you what's on the standard version of the driver's license. So, you don't have to get a real ID. There's still the standard version of the ID, but it changed at the point that real ID went into effect. So there's the real ID, and then there's the new standard not real ID. And in Virginia, those say federal limits apply. Okay. So it tells you stuff like that. And then this also tells you, the very last page of the actual book says an explanation of specialized terms. So it starts talking about the different barcodes and images and things like that that can be found on a driver's license or on a license or an ID card. And then it also gives you the breakdown of what some of those types of things are. So extremely useful. I'm very happy that I just went ahead and bought this. This was an impulse purchase for me. An impulse purchase definitely for me. And then ironically, with the book, the NNA wants you to know that notarization carries risk. Go ahead and get your E&O insurance. And so I'm just going to say that to you too, that if you are not covered for your notarial work, you should be. And you can do that through many sources, one of which is the NNA. Another is Hiscox. The other one is Byberg and Geico. There are a lot of different places where you can cover yourself in the event that something goes wrong, in the event that you weren't at your best that day. and something went wrong, and now somebody's documents are in disarray, or worse, someone's livelihood is affected in one way or another, positively or negatively, or in jeopardy or in question, because of something that you did. So just make sure that you're covered. I will tell you that when you cover with Byberg, they do have at least in some of their policies, they allow you to have a 1 year of prior coverage. So you are covered for anything that may come to light that you may have done before their insurance went into effect. So there's plenty of videos out there on insurance. Maybe I'll do one. I don't know. But that's it for this video. So I think I told you everything I wanted to say. Definitely make sure that you find a way to legitimize the identifications that you're doing. So I bought this because I wanted to be secure in what I knew about, or what I was validating for different borrowers. So, I had 2 customers who were from Oklahoma, and they were a married couple, and their IDs looked totally different. They're from the same state. They looked totally different within a 1 year time frame of each other. And it really made me question, are they playing a game here? Like, what actually is going on? And so I had to reach into and really, really do some investigation there on the spot to validate that ID before I could move on with the notarization. So I'd rather have something right next to me, and I'm just going to put that in my notary bag and carry it around with me so that I have it in the event that I need it. So especially if you're here in Virginia, your signers are going to be from all over the place. I've met everybody so far. So it's been a really great experience, but you do meet people who are transient. Like, they're not here, they're not native to Virginia, or they haven't been here, or they aren't putting down roots here. So they're here from the military or from anywhere. For work is a big one, especially out here. So just be cognizant of that. So let me know, guys. So was this video helpful to you? Let me know in the comments. Are you doing something else to validate your IDs? Are you just going off of your sixth sense? What else are you doing to validate someone's identity? Let me know in the comments. If you have the book and you have not found it useful, or you found it flawed, let me know in the comments. And if you're going to go out and buy the book now that you've actually seen what's inside of it, let me know that in the comments too. So just give me some feedback. Let me know what you think about this video, and I will be sure to respond to you guys. I have more videos to come. Be sure to like this video and subscribe now that you've listened to the whole thing. Hey, I am very happy to have had you for this long. I appreciate you guys, and I look forward to us growing together in 2021. Have a great afternoon, or have a great night, guys. Bye.